Welcome to a Milk Market Tidbit for the December Federal Milk Marketing Order data that was just released this week. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, January the 15th of 2025. Here's the overview for the Federal Milk Marketing data. Statistical uniform prices were $20.58, and that's down about $1.16 from last month, and that's all weighted for how much milk is in each federal order. Now, Class 3 came back into the order and Class 4 left. So we're depooling a lot more Class 4 than we are Class 3. When we look at the futures right now, Class 4 is leading Class 3 for the next year. So we'd expect Class 4 to continue to be depooled. Now, when we look at the data, month over month, milk was actually down a little bit, and that's because of the depooling. And I think production was probably up slightly. That's my best guess. And fat percent once again was up. So here are statistical uniform prices. We have 23 plus some here in the southeast. The lowest are going to be the cheese plant areas in Minnesota, Wisconsin. Most everybody else was in that 19 to 20 range. And this is how everything changed, and it comes into play exactly how you would expect it. Class 3 was down $1.33, so Minnesota, Wisconsin was down $1.35, which is right in line. Class 1 was down $1.10, so the southeast area, it's basically Class 1 with a little bit of other products in it. And we know that we did depool a lot of Class 4 because look at the difference between 3 and 4, which is, $2.10 here. And we just kind of look out into the future. There's going to be a difference between 3 and 4 of about $1.42 across the next year. Class 4 is higher than Class 3 all the way through. Now we do have a lot of noise in here starting end of Q2, beginning of Q3, thinking that the new federal order formulas will be in place. And so I have to actually timestamp this because the market has been a bit squirrely lately. And this data is as of 11:08 today, the 15th. How did production change? Now, again, a lot of this is going to be dictated by whether you depooled stuff or not. But generally, the Northeast doesn't depool, so it was up about 1%. Generally, the Southeast doesn't depool a lot, so they're up plus 2 or 3. So when we look across the board, the total milk was 98%, 97.5% of last month, so that's down. But if we look at just 1, 2, and 3, and we exclude 4, we've got about a 1% increase. And so I wouldn't say that probably milk overall was up just a little bit. As I said, a lot of this depends upon Class 4 utilization. You see California dropped theirs by 15 percentage points, the Northwest by almost 10 percentage points. So those two areas, along with Order 33 and Order 32, significantly reduced the amount of Class 4 into the federal order. At the same time, you're going to expect Class 3 utilization to go up because if one goes down, the other one needs to go up. So this is the overall capacity. This is the way I think it's best to look at depooling. This is pounds per day. So we can see where Class 3 went up and where Class 4 has been coming down. So now we've got to kind of estimate what we think is going to happen in the USDA numbers. And again, I usually go back to what is historical. So historically, we're going to increase about 0.8% December over November. So milk production comes up just a little bit in December. So my best guess right now is we're going to be about 0.5% up month over month, which should give us about 18.5 billion pounds of total milk. But what's interesting is that's a 1.5% decrease from a year ago. So in fact, even though production may be up just a little bit from this November, we're going to see a year-over-year decrease, most likely. Of course, I always ask forgiveness of about 0.5% because there's lots of wiggle room in this data. This is the Class 4 pounds per day. You can see where we just significantly reduced that. Our peak was back here in 2020 when we were depooling all the Class 3. And if we look at class 3, this is slowly coming up, but we're not at our peak yet. And right now we're about 79% of that peak, and we're off by about 51 million pounds of milk. You cannot depool class 1, but of course when you look at it on a percentage basis, if you're changing 3 and 4, this all changes. But overall it's a little under 30%, and that's up a little bit from last month. And you can see the areas that are very high class 1, all the southeast. A lot of the areas are right around 30%, like the northeast, Texas kind of areas. And of course, order 32. Fat values continue to rise. Overall, we're about 4.42 weighted for the milk in each federal order, and that's up 8 ticks. There's nobody that's under 4%. I mean, even Florida is 404 at this point. So very, very strong numbers. And that's one of the problems. We may see declining milk, but we have higher components, and therefore we can have more cream and more total solids. Protein is also very strong. We don't get that in as many areas. The highest is always the Northwest at 357, and the lowest is always the Northeast at 333. So this week is a very kind of what I call the dark zone, because we're not getting a lot of data. We're going to have National Dairy Sales Report today. We'll have the dairy slaughter and the spot milk prices. Monday's a holiday with global dairy trade on Tuesday, and then we're going to have some of our data coming out a day late for National Dairy Sales Report. And then we get a heavy dump of the milk production and cold storage report on the same day.